One, first and foremost, apologies for the delay. We definitely honor and respect folks' time,
Mhm.
but technology be technologying in. So we're going to give folks an opportunity to jump on. And then I had a presentation. Every time I go to click on it, it's like shutting everything down. So what we're not going to do is delay any further because today is designed really to get you to join in on the conversation. If you haven't been a part of the conversation of, just elevating your finances and changing the trajectory of your finances, maybe you just got away from it. Maybe you just have never really entered into the space. Whatever the case may be, we want this to be an opportunity for you to be able to join in. And next week is the challenge, because where there's no challenge, there's no change. I mean, that's just a fact. And so we're going to position you to be able to join in on the challenge next week. And for all those who say, "Oh, I knew they was going to upsell us," no, I like to get stuff in the way and out of the way because what we don't do, we're not salespeople over here. We just present the opportunity, the options, and your outs. That's what we do. But there is a challenge next week. It's going to be September 9th through the 11th. And that's where we will get like all of the action steps because there's no way we could delve into all of that today. And everyone here has a separate day. So once everyone comes on, I know people are kind of scattered because of the outage that we had. So we want to give people an opportunity just to reconnect. So if you guys don't mind, which I believe everyone who is here um, understands the power of grace and is okay with extending grace. If we can just give folks just 5 more minutes, because again, some folks were on and then due to the outage, it knocked folks off and people are trying to reconnect and move around or whatever else they needed to do. So we're just gonna give them 5 minutes. We usually play music, but I don't even want to play no music because I don't want this thing to go out. In fact, I'm sitting like a whole statue right now because in my mind, I'm like, Lord, please don't let this thing go out again. So if you're here, let us know that you're here. Put your name in the chat for us as we wait for others to have an opportunity to come back on. And you know what? Just tell us why you're here and what is your level of expectation. And while you're doing that, well, I'll wait to introduce our amazing guests. So we are financial coaches and investors and advisors, and because I just believe that time like the present, I want to make sure that even if you don't ever come back, that you get. I mean, that this is a power pack hour. We're going to be on for an hour, and that this is a power pack hour for you. That whether you decide to take action or not, I know that the seed was sown. Amen. Amen. So
Amen.
those who don't know me, you're gonna hear me say amen a lot because that's just who I am. And once we give people about 4 more minutes to try to jump back on, I'll introduce myself, and then our guests will introduce themselves, and then we'll keep it pushing. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna look in the chat while we wait for folks to come and to be able to reconnect. So hi, Leroy. How are you? Hi, Keith. Good evening to you. Is that Dr. Darlene Blakely? I thought you was on a plane somewhere. I am here. I know that's right. Come through with the come through, Darlene Blakely. um, actually, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying this, but she's one of the persons that I saw earlier on. I don't know, Dar, if you was just super great at stewardship, or no, you wasn't tight, but you were great at stewardship, and I think once I saw you doing it, and this was years ago. I'm talking about in the early 2000s. it really started the wheels turning for financial freedom and independence. And so, thank you for being here. You are a blessing to the world. And everybody know me. I don't do a whole lot of patronizing and brown nosing and all of that. I speak from my heart, and so this is my heart. And we come from a church where our bishop says sometimes you don't need to be informed as much as you need to be reminded. And her being here, having been where she's been, going where she's going, it's a reminder for all of us here. And you'll hear us say this often, this financial health and wellness is not a one-time event. It's not something that you just get one day or able to get one day, but it's something that you prioritize and you make a part of your life. One, because we're required to be great stewarders. That's how I believe we are blessed to get more. And two, we have little people looking at us. And then three, we want to be able to leave an inheritance for our children's children, be able to give more liberally, be able to advance the kingdom of God in many ways to help folks just be able to live. And so it's important that when we know better, we do better, and we continue to do better. So I'm grateful to be here tonight. I'm grateful that you all are here. And even if this is a space that you've been in already, or that you frequent, the fact that you're still here trying to keep your eyes and ears open is just bomb, right? And we don't see that much in communities that look like me. And so I'm grateful to have each and every one of you here. Okay, we got about one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. Well, somebody want to sing or something? I don't know. I feel like we should be pop locking. I don't know.
Not pop locking, no.
I mean, let's see. I'm so don't want to touch anything. So how are you guys doing? No one put in the chat what they're expecting. So go ahead. I know y'all heard me. Well, you may not hear me. Am I supposed to put on these earphones? Can y'all hear me better?
We can hear you.
You could hear me without the headphones, like clearly. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But what are you expecting tonight? It's so important that you come with expectations so you can get filled. So what are you expecting? We got one more minute. So what are you expecting tonight? Y'all ain't expect that, not that? That ain't right.
Should be expecting to figure out how to get these coins, get this money.
Just interested in hearing more about this session. Okay. So you, in other words, get to it. Okay. I joke a lot. So if anybody knows me, know that even on my sessions, I just like to have fun. Like life is already tight and hard. And so I don't want to come to these sessions with my panties in a bunch, or, tight-lipped, or like that. We are all here to even talk about money. That's a blessing. Okay. So the time is here. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Terry. I am your host for the evening. Many of you know me. I'm go ahead and try to go in a systematic way. But welcome to the 30K and 30-day masterclass, where we are normalizing more than enough than barely enough. By way of disclaimer, we are not attorneys. We are not accountants. One is a financial advisor. I have financial services training. But the point is, so y'all don't be trying, we're going to give out some stuff for educational purposes, but just know that it all requires work and effort for any level of results. So my attorney make me say that, so nobody be trying to sue me, say I said you was going to get this because I was going to give it. But it's on the record, so nobody can say that. Welcome to another session of Built to Last, where our mission is to provide financial literacy, resources, tools, and growth opportunities for minorities who have been and are otherwise marginalized, disenfranchised, and other underserved. Our vision is to see gaps in financial education and independence, housing insecurity and options, and wealth narrow yearly in the communities that we are in and that we serve. Our ultimate goal is providing solutions that will create a legacy of financial independence and freedom, passive and residual income, and generational wealth. Primarily through real estate. Real estate is my thing. But that's what we have. I am a believer, a wife, a mom, a developer, an educator, and an author. I grew up in public housing in one of the poorest parts of town in Philadelphia. I grew up in a single parent home, homeless at the age of 16, an adjudicated youth at 13, a victim of physical abuse. I am not a trust fund baby. I have no business background, no business background. Come from a background of drug dealers, drug abuser, gangbangers, inmates, and the like. I have over 18 years of real estate experience. And so what I say, and today, because of what the grace of God, I have 18 years of real estate experience. My areas of expertise is construction management, development, fix and flips, buy and holds, and wholesaling. I'm a community activist and social service provider. So all of my businesses have a social impact model. Because again, we want to be impactful, influential while we are building income. I'm also a businesswoman that prays, and I'm reading this off of my slides that y'all can't see. So we will make sure that you get the QR code if you are a woman in business and need a community to pray with. We will make sure you get that information. Our time together, we're going to prioritize having more than enough. We're going to prioritize developing a personal economy. We're going to prioritize addressing our own BS. Now, don't let the church people start sending oil and stretching their hands to me. BS for me is our backstory, our belief systems, and our business structures. Prioritizing saving and liquidity, prioritizing building generational wealth. With our objective, we are the common denominator, so we want to raise our awareness. We're going to talk about a few things where I'm going to pretty much lay the foundation, but I have some amazing guests here that are in my life in more than one way. And so we wanted to be able to make sure that you get exactly what you need tonight and be able to implement it, because we prioritize implementation over information and execution over education. And so we have Sierra Holmes here. She's one of my business partners, and she is an expert in personal and business credit. And so she's going to give us some ways that, you'll hear me say, when we can leverage other people's money. But one of the things we have not really done around credit is look at it as a way of leveraging to make more money. And it's usually more of a dependency, and so we want to change that narrative. We want to do some mindset shifting tonight. And then we have Curtis May, who's not on camera. I have no idea where he went, but it may be the technical difficulties that we were experiencing early. Okay, there he is.
There you go.
He is my financial advisor. And we go to bat, because we believe everything starts with a plan. And it's crazy. the part of the reason why we miss the mark, or we're not as lucrative, or we don't maximize as much as we can, because we don't have we outdoing, right? We're not being, and being starts with a plan, so you know what you need to be in order to get the results that you expect, and particularly in this area of finance, personal and financial development. And so he's going to talk a little bit about how to become your own banker, and how you can make 30K in 30 days, if you execute on the plan. Are there any questions so far?
No, I think we're good right now.
You think we good right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So again, I'm trying to make sure, because I get so passionate about it between the two of us. I think it'll be best for all of you if I stayed on some kind of schedule. My slides has my family. We can move past that. Let's see. Okay, so I may have covered this, but it bears repeating. The reason why we're doing this tonight, because we love to see people live at their higher quality of self. We're interested in changing the narrative in our community, and thus the financial trajectory of those who live in it. We're called to educate, empower, equip people to execute. And one of my firm beliefs is that we are created for more. The Bible tells me that, and you guys will hear me reference my favorite book throughout this presentation, is what I do, that, I have a blood-bought right to live in abundance, right? Like I have, that's a thing. I can live in abundance in every area of my life. Now, why do we talk about it from a financial standpoint? For a few reasons. One, because money answers all things. That's what my book tells me. The other thing that the book tells me is that I'm to owe no man, but I'm to love them. It's hard to love people if you're in debt to them. So, again, a part of our objectives and our time together is going to help us prioritize getting out of debt. Believe it or not, people are okay with staying in debt. And now there is some psychology around good debt, bad debt. But for purposes of tonight, we're just talking about debt in general, and more specifically, the bad debt, which doesn't help us advance. Okay. And so this is the reason why we decided, and I decided to do this and do it frequently, because we want people to get into a place of normalizing having more than enough than barely enough. And here are a few of the problems that I've observed. One, and this is statistics. 1 in 4 American parents struggle to pay for basic needs in the last year. That's from the Pew Research Center. Their survey found only 43% of people are able to pay from their emergency expenses of $1,000 or more. 43% of people can pay for emergency expenses of $1,000 or more from their savings. That means people don't have savings. 35% of American families do not meet the basic family needs budget. That is the amount needed to afford rent, mortgage, food, transportation, medical care, and minimal household expenses, despite working full-time year round. Now, here is one, because this is more resonates with me more. Is that, out of the dollar circulating, it only circulates in the African American community for 2 to 4 hours. It in other cultures, like Jewish cultures, it stays in their communities for 21 days. And another thing I observed coming out of that is that we are more consumers, and that's statistics, right? We are the highest rate, the highest percentage of consumers than we are owners. And so one of the things you will hear us talk about a lot is being able to position ourselves to prioritize assets over liabilities. And business is an asset class as well as real estate. And so we want to, again, change the trajectory, change the narrative so that those numbers can change, not just for us, but for our families as well. What I also observed is the effects of being in debt. High anxiety and depression, headache, stress, interrupted sleep patterns, impact on ability to focus, working multiple jobs, but still not able to meet the needs, or working, in other words, working twice as hard to get ahead, but may not ever get ahead. And this is also people who are in business. Believe it or not, and all of this I speak from experience. I was in business, but I was a poor business owner. And we're going to talk about some of the things that shifted for me so that it can shift for you. Because as we talk about 30K in 30 days and we talk about multiple streams of income, we also want you to set up properly and have businesses, right? Set up legal structures and infrastructure to be able to do this on a reoccurring basis. Once one of the problems that I've seen in even business owners that look like me and entrepreneurs, we don't put an emphasis on business setups and structures. That's problematic because then you cannot realize reoccurring income. And what we are going after is reoccurring income on a monthly basis, today, tomorrow, and in the future. The effects of being in debt: you can't properly save for retirement, stuck in emergency situations, borrow more and can thus getting into more debt. Uh, Effects of being in debt: it impacts relationships. Again, that book I love, is you owe somebody, it's hard to love them and it's hard for them to love you. Because there are so many things that come out of that: guilt, shame, anger, all of the things that don't promote healthy relationships. Other effects of being in a debt: costing more. So if you got late payments, you paying fees for that. If you, and Sierra is going to talk to this about getting credit cards that, we should be leveraging and we can leverage to make 30K in 30 days. But we're getting them at high interest rates because of our credit worthiness, or, and where we are, or our mix of credit. But the benefits of being debt free. And again, you heard me say that I want us to be able to normalize having more than enough, and financial freedom and independence. And so I'm going to be dropping these things in your spirit, because again, what you hear, you're often able to respond to. You're able to change the way you think and approach things, and the more you hear it. Another thing you'll hear me say throughout this is that this is not a one-time event, and you can't ever get tired of it, right? Because life is going to keep on lifing, and things happen, good, bad, or indifferent. And so you want to not just be struggling to get ready in those cases, because it's not a matter of when it'll hit or if it'll hit. It's just a matter of when. And so we want to get ready and stay ready and be ready all the time, because we can. And particularly, I don't know where you guys are in belief, because I can't see. I don't know who's all here, but we have the ability. We have a true and living God on the inside of us. And so there's just some things that just should not be said amongst us. So here are the benefits of being debt free: increased savings, relief from anxiety, more fun, freedom to choose, increased financial security, exposure to better environments equal better relationships. We don't degrade people who aren't walking like us, looking like us, but that's not our place of, we don't want to stay there, right? That's, we want to constantly be evolving and growing so that, especially if we have young people that are looking at us, that they see that as well and they're able to mimic it as well. Okay. How do I know this? I told you I experienced it. Here are some of the things, and this may hit you, but if the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. I was given always, quote unquote, by faith. Not really having it, but given by faith. I was eating out often. I wasn't paying my bills on time. I wasn't tracking how much debt I was in. I was in denial. I couldn't save. So when emergencies came up, I was using money I didn't have. I had folks that were passing away and I wanted to be able to help, but I couldn't. And just a note here, GoFundMe is not an insurance plan, which Curtis will talk about that soon. I was stressed out about not having money and I couldn't. I think of retirement. I wasn't even thinking about retirement. I had set myself to believe that I was going to work all my life because that's what I was taught. And when we talk about addressing our belief systems and our backstories, that is some of the things that are a part of it. I heard my dad always told me, you better work because they'll fire you. Well, yeah, that's true. But it's not as intense as it was in his day and age. Our stories are different. And if we don't ever, get into this place of mindset shift and we're holding on to norms and things and cultural norms, societal norms that may not even be applicable, even as we have advanced. So it's important that we constantly look to renew our minds. My favorite book says, as a man thinketh, so is he. Right. I say as the mind goes, the man goes, right? And so we want to make sure that we're not holding on to old thinking as well. We want to be able to break some of these cycles or all of the cycles. And that same belief of walking by faith what we don't emphasize sometimes is some work that comes with it. You can't tell me about your faith if I don't see your corresponding action to it. And so in order to get the results, we want to add some faith and work to it. Okay. And that's not nothing nuanced. That is just factual. Nothing just happens and we have to put some work behind it. But here's the difference. We get to labor to enter into rest, or are we going to labor some more? Right. So that's what we are focused on in this masterclass tonight, that we are not laboring to labor some more, but we're laboring to be able to enter into rest. Just a little bit more of the observations. People are living 100% off earned income. They have no savings, doubling up on paying bills. Some folks have become immune to making payment arrangements. And there's no conversations about money being a tool. Okay. Now, here was the culture shock from the hood living and church living. Church folks giving, but still poor, praying hard for God to pay their rent and their mortgage month after month, not having enough, bound by debt and effects of debt. We already talked about that. And dressed and driving their Sunday best, but their finances are a mess. I got bars. That was good, right? Let me say that again for the people in the back. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Dressed and driving their Sunday's best, but finances are a mess. And living below God's standard, right? That's not what we call it to. But we want to emphasize again, and some things will sound redundant, it's intentional to not just be looking good, but to really be good. Okay. And what I learned after I got deep into what I believed is that my living was inconsistent with what I was believing or said I believed. So being overwhelmed in debt, inconsistent. Gas being turned off, inconsistent. looking to my 9 to 5 to help me get rich. It's not designed to help me get rich, right? And consistent. Depending on income tax time. Anybody been there where you waiting for income tax time without really understanding that that's your money to begin with? And that's a whole nother conversation. I'm not going to go off. I'm going to keep on moving. Having a 550 credit score and being okay with that. Lending when I needed a loan, like what? Living check to check. Not doing things I really needed and wanted to do. And so I realized, and tonight I want you to realize that it's important that we take, that we be intentional, right? And in doing that, we want to be able to take quick action. Somebody say quick action, right? Because again, nothing just changes unless you change it. I got my hand on some new information, and here's what my new understanding was: that the will of God for my life was to live abundantly. I mentioned this already, that I was to owe no man but to love him. And so even if, we have a ton of mortgages and all of that, listen, truth is you don't have to have that mortgage. Now there is, when you're starting out and, and you're starting in the space, you can leverage that in ways to keep the mortgage while you do some other things. But again, remember, the objective is to normalize having more than enough and not being in debt to anybody. Having the power to get wealth. You and I have the power to get wealth. And if you believe that, let me know that you believe that, right? Because I want to be in a room with believers. And so we're going to talk tonight about, we're moving into the place where we talk about generating additional income. So we talked about the problem. I do want to talk about the person, because if we don't talk about the person, the circle, we're the common denominator. And so you see it all the time, the environment may change, but people don't change. And so we want to make sure that we're in a position to change. And in order to do that, we want to make sure that we have a growth mindset, right? So if your believer is a little broken around what you believe about money, just, take inventory and address it. And so if you believe money is for the other people, let's denounce that. If you believe that, I had somebody told me, no, I'm supposed to just work all my life. Yeah, no, right. First of all, the way that age requirement keep moving, you're gonna be 100 still working, right? If left to chance, if left to the system that is in place, we ain't doing that, right? I was able to retire in my 40s, and it's the things that I'm sharing with you today is the reason why I was able to do it. Change part of that mindset shifting, in addition to what we were told about money. People don't like giving, right? But there's a principle of sowing and reaping. We close our hands in our giving, and I get it, well, no, I don't. I get it and I don't get it. If you're struggling, it may seem very hard to understand how you can give, but a part of being able to get into these spaces, you got to have some skin in the game, right? And if you believe in being in the power of being able to leverage, then you won't be so tight fist, because your seed, you're closing off the ability of your seed to be able to multiply. Okay. Change the way we think about this whole employment thing. So one of the slides I have that you can't see, but I'll make sure we get it to you, is the quadrant, right? And so you may have heard someone say, get on the right side of the quadrant. So if you're not really sure what that is, on the left side, there is E, for employee. That's someone who has a job. S for you own a job, which you're self-employed. B for business owner, you can own a system and people work for you. And I is money working for you. So we want to, and listen, if you have a job that you love, cool, right? But a large percentage of folks have jobs that they don't love. And so we want to, encourage and empower you getting on the right side of the quadrant. So that, for many different reasons. Now let's move into the types of income. So you should have an average of seven streams of income. And the 7 types of income is earned income, profit income, interest income, dividend income, rental income, capital gains income, and royalty income. And if we primarily are in this earned income part, but in this place of getting to financial freedom and independence, we want to move us more to passive and residual income. And that's outside of this earned income space where we're working to make the money, but the money is working for you. It doesn't make any sense to have all of this money and you can't have fun. Your fitness is poor. You're unable to have great friendships. Your focus is a little bit off or not balanced. Your faith is a little wonky because you have fatigue, so you can't really dig in and have the relationship and the communion that the Lord would want us to have. And so we want to move away from this place of swapping time for money and living, check to check. We want to live in a more of a place of passive and residual income. So these are the types of income for your learning. Okay. I'm going to talk about these examples of income. And I'm going to stop now because one of the ways to generate income, and we're going to start with you, Curtis, tonight, because, I believe everything stems from a plan. So, it's like, okay, you want to make this 30K, but what is it answering? A plan is a great way. A financial plan is a awesome way to, one, help you, as my favorite book says, count the cost, and 2, have a vision for your life. And in order to avoid that imbalance, I help my students stay focused by focusing on the 7 areas. So it's your faith, it's your family, your finances, your friendship, your fitness, your fun, and your focus. Just so that you're not imbalanced. But it all starts with a plan, so that even when you are, let's say investing, or even when you are generating this cash, you're not generating it just for the sake of generating it. You are generating it to answer things so that you can be fulfilled and you can live a quality life. We want to move from the place of stress, strain, and being stuck or in survival mode, but more of a life of thriving and being and living. And so in order to do that, or to help you do that, a plan is needed. So without further ado, Curtis, if you want to come on and share with the folks around this space of financial planning, and then what we talked about, going a little bit further into how insurance and how they can, one, create their own banking system and get to 30K in 30 days using it.
All right. Good evening. Thanks for having me. So do you hear the echo?
This guy.
I'm in here echo. All right. So let's talk about planning. So I'm really more of the defensive coordinator. So y'all are gonna show me I make 30K in 30 days. I'm gonna tell you where to
No.
Okay.
Get out of here. He always says I'm the offensive coordinator, but come on.
All right. So let's talk about what I see missing when we talk about planning. Planning, we talked about this earlier, is really 5 components. It's helping families spend, save, invest, insure, and plan for financial freedom. So really investing is one of 5 things. And I would argue it's number 5 if you don't have your foundation set. Most of the people I work with are real estate investors, small business owners, or people that are aspiring to what we call work optional income. And so, but what you have to do, I believe you have to lay the foundation. So I'm just going to kind of give you an overview. If I can share, I'll share if my screen. And I'll
It's going. Don't share.
don't
Just
share.
because
All right.
we're gonna run the risk of this whole thing shutting down. But we can get it to them. We'll figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I was just going to show. I teach something called principles based financial planning. So I think that because principles don't change, and so if you want to get an example of principles, if you've ever read The Richest Man in Babylon, the second chapter is called the 7 Cures for a Lean Purse, or in today's verbiage, 7 Cures for Empty Bank Account. And so I basically teach that. So it's really not so much about products. And so where I'm going to end where it's going to pick up with where you're going to start of how you make 30K in 30 days. But I'm going to start with the foundationals of when money hits your personal economy. What's your philosophy? Jim Rohn says most people don't have a money problem, they have a philosophy problem. So the philosophy, we teach people the verb of saving, right? Saving what? So, when money hits your personal economy, we teach our clients to save 15-20% or more of their gross income. See, because what happens is when people have debt, non-preferred debt, that's because they don't have any savings. See, people with savings don't have debt. Okay, they have good debt because they borrow money to make money. They don't borrow money because debt, if you're getting consumer debt, you're spending money you have not yet earned. You're actually using future earnings as collateral. That's basically what you're doing. So they're loaning you money based upon your job and your ability to pay them back, but paying them back is a wealth transfer, okay? Meaning money's leaving your asset column to go to the bank's asset column. That is a wealth transfer. And so you have to, most people give most of their money away, right? And so you got a bucket. We've got holes in the bucket, which are taxes, how you pay your mortgages, how you fund retirement plans, how you finance things, how you pay for kids' education. So there's more money lost in those 5 things. And number 1 is how most people have no structure to cash flow, right? So those are things that don't cost money, that is just looking at the world a little bit differently. And so we talk about saving, then we talk about protection. So protection is insurances, it's asset protection, it's estate planning, it's trust, but it's protecting your stuff, property, liability coverage. It's like Game of Thrones. So like if you see a castle, most castles have a moat around them. Okay. So you have to protect your kingdom and build a moat. So you got to protect yourself from predators. Okay. Opportunists that want to steal your money. Okay. And you want to structure that. So you got to protect yourself. What if you don't make it? You're supposed to leave a legacy whether you're here or not. So that's life insurance. The purpose of life insurance is not to bury you. Life insurance is not an investment. So people talk about investment grade life insurance, and I'm using life insurance to create wealth. That's not what life insurance is. Life insurance is a great storage facility for money, and it's a great what's the word I call it earlier? Legacy perpetuator, right? So it keeps it going. You transfer wealth tax free within your. So you got to play defense. You got to protect your downside risks. That's maximum protection. My third principle is full replacement of assets at death, guaranteed, which is why, so not to go into products, but that saying right there is why I don't like things like universal life or index universal life, because I like certainty. So for this is my bias, there's an economic value of certainty. I don't want to have to babysit stuff. I just want to know if I do this, I'm going to get that. That's a contract. And so I like that. And then you also, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and it was like, well, they were quite well off and had built and exited several businesses. And she says, well, I don't have life insurance. And she was younger than me. I said, you don't have life insurance? I says, well, yeah, because they bought into what I call the myth of self-insurance, right? Oh, I got all this money, I don't need insurance. See, people teach you when you get money, you can leave your life insurance go. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, because if you think about this, somebody can answer me if you want. If you had, I told her this. I said, listen, if you had a house, you have a house, yes. If you paid the mortgage off, would you drop your homeowner's insurance? No. Okay. Why? Because you could still go wrong, right, to the house. So now let's say if you had a house worth $500,000, you saved up $500,000 for the house fund, okay, to take care of wherever could go wrong. Would you now drop your homeowner's insurance? No. Let me help you. Y'all hesitating. So no, you wouldn't. I can see y'all in the audience hesitating. No, you wouldn't drop it, because what does that do? That frees up your $500,000 to do what? Whatever you want, right? So it gives you permission to spend. Well, life insurance is the same thing. You're giving yourself permission to enjoy your money, because should one of the spouses or a family member pass away, there's a tax-free fill-up of the money bucket, and you really should insure everybody in your family. Don't die for free. So you have to begin with the end in mind. So if you're going to build, people say, I want to build legacy wealth and that kind of stuff. Well, you start out with insurance to make sure if you don't make it, everything is still on the table, right? My fourth principle is save. Save what? 6 to 12 months of your cash. Why? Because most good investments need capital, right? And so, or, opportunities is, what is it called? The golden rule. Those who have the goal make the rules. So if you have access to capital, opportunities will find you for private lending, for it's all kinds of stuff to make money, but you have to invest in your number one asset, which is in between your ears, so that this is where the summit and this workshop coming in, you need to expand your knowledge. See, guys, investing is not risky. Being uneducated is risky. And then my fifth principle is velocity, right? So what we have been trained in from the financial institutions is what I call the accumulation theory, right? And so if you're following that, you definitely cannot make 30K in 30 days, all right? Because, accumulation, which is buy and hold, dollar cost average, get out of debt, buy term investor difference, all that's, the S&P, all that's the accumulation theory. Because the truth is, you really can't accumulate your way you can't save your way to financial freedom. You can't, even if you maxed out your 401k every year starting at 22, you would not have enough money to retire. Even if that's the thing, that's not really a thing. I don't believe in retirement. That means to put out of use. All right. And so one of the exercises I take people through is I take through a little 10-minute exercise called Retirement Ready or Not. And I just probe them. Whatever they think they're doing, it ain't going to work. All right. So I hate to be the party pooper, but
This guy.
So you have to. So think about, I had a guy I was talking to. I said, yeah, he was, hey, I'm doing all right. He's making like 150,000. He's got like 600,000 in his 401k. He's like 55. I said, oh, you think you're going to be okay? Yeah. So I went through the exercise. He really needed about, if you're focused on accumulation theory, what was it? It was like $3 or $4 million that he had to accumulate in 15 years. In a fluctuating stock market with monetary units called dollars, that the longer you hold them, the less they buy. Okay. And with owing money to an entity, United States of America, that is buried in debt, that has the ability to change the rules on the retirement plans, is that where you want to store the majority of your capital? See, a lot of you so I mean, so so why do I use life insurance? Because I'd rather have my capital in a free contract with other free people that predates the IRS by over 100 years. See, the insurance is not a creature of the tax code. Okay, it's a contract. It's contract law, and so that's what you want to understand the game. See, it's hard. And see, even successful investors like some of y'all on the call, most people don't understand. And what we try to teach at Practical Wealth is what I call the financial physics. Things like opportunity costs, things like economic value added, things like velocity through simultaneous use. So you, like if you use insurance to your point, Terry, so if I can capitalize and save money through permanent insurance, now I can use my money as security, as collateral, borrow the insurance company's money, buy an asset. My money's still in the policy, earning interest and dividends in a tax favored environment. And then I've got, I can either buy a big ticket item and recapture that money, or I can buy, I had a client, we borrowed like 12, he couldn't find any property. So he bought 12,000, he bought two 2010 Nissan Sentras, put them on hire card, $38 a day. He bought one, then he bought the second one after he found that it made money. And so from this little $12,000 loan against his insurance, he's generated $22,000 a month business within 3 months.
Did y'all take note? As they talk about this, they're going to be talking about, they're going to be dropping income opportunities. So make sure y'all taking note,
because you got to think about how to make money. See, it's when we teach banking, we teach a formula. We call it money for life. Earn money, bank it, borrow it, spend it, repay it. Right. So that's banking is a process. It's not about the insurance. It's a system of money management. Right. But I challenge my clients. So I do a study group with our clients, and every Saturday we're like, all right, give me some success stories. What do you do? Because I focus on the earn it part, right? Because you have to focus on production. Okay. You've got to make money. You've got to be best in class. If you got a job, you need to be the best in class at what you do, because most people, if you just show up and work hard, you'll be like 85% of the people out there, because most people are sorry and they don't want to work and they don't want to think. They want to think, right? So if you show up, work hard, you work on your game, you're reading 10, 15 pages a day of a good book, you're going to stand out. So you will grow your income, because income is a result of creating value in the marketplace. So what happens is you're not going to make 30 grand if you don't improve your skills. Okay. There's no magic. Investing is about becoming something. It's not about buying something. So you're going to have a crash course in transformation to learn how to become a real investor. Right. And that's not going to happen, and that's a lifetime pursuit of getting better. And as you get better, you're at solving problems as creating value for others. When you learn how to create value for others, money's the result. That is capitalism. It's an exchange. Okay. Capitalism is good for all you little budding Marxist college students out there might be in the audience. But anyway.
Well, wait a minute, sir. What you ain't gonna do is insult the audience. I'm getting ready to pause you in a minute.
All right. So I always gotta throw that in, because what happens is we are being assaulted mentally for wanting to be successful. Right. And so you have to reject that. There's nothing wrong with money. Love of money is root of all evil, not money.
That's what I told them earlier.
And so,
wait a minute, let's just say that, because one of the belief systems is that, people say, oh, especially in a church, oh, we shouldn't. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Not having money is the root of all evil. So
yeah, I would listen. Check out Myron Golden's Bible study.
Just stay focused.
Okay.
Just keep going.
Well, that's he talking about making money, but he's from a bit. The Bible shows you how to make money, right? So
absolutely.
That is a pet peeve of mine. So I'm not going to go there, but
well, I'm gonna give them, because you mentioned, so just to stay on task. There is ways you can become your own banker. Two, thinking about other ways to make money, which in this instance of your client, he thought about using the money from the policy and then investing in a car rental business, because that's basically what he did, right? And now I'm gonna hit one, since you kind of teed me up for this, is look at your own gifts and talents. And this is how I got out of debt. And this is the principle that I used biblically. My favorite story is the widow woman and the prophet came to her. Her husband had died. And he asked her, she asked him, you know, she told him her story. Like, you know, the creditors are going to come and they're going to take, you know, kill my sons. And he's like, basically, what you want me to do? And then he asked her, what do you have in your house? What do you have in your hands? And she said, oh, just, you know, some oil. And he told her to, and this is the exact same framework that I use every time I start a new business. Serial entrepreneur and business owner, and this is the framework. You know, okay, to get these jars, she got her sons involved. He said, you and your sons go borrow these jars. And so when people say, oh, you know, about business has been there, and the business system, an introduction of it from the foundation of the world. But so you go get these jars, and then you say, go borrow. So borrowing is a thing. Borrowing is not, and Sierra jump in after me, we should not, you know, shun away or steer away from borrowing. But it's what you do after you borrow. That's the key. So he tells her to get these jars, fill the jars up, but go borrow the jars from your neighbor. From your neighbors. And so she wasn't prideful. She did exactly what the man of God told her to do. And she went to those neighbors, and it wasn't a matter of, you know, again, this is a part of addressing our belief system. What will people think, or how will they look at me? You know, listen, when you are on a mission, and in this case, to put yourself in a better financial situation all around the board, it don't bump what people think, right? Like, it don't even matter what they think, right? If somebody got something that you need that's in their hands, ain't no time to be offended or being prideful. And so she goes and she does what he tells her to do. She comes back, and he says, listen, they fill up the jars, and he said, now go pay off your creditors and live off the rest.
Well, let's say he says go sell the oil.
Well, okay, he tells her to go sell it.
But that's important, right? Sell it.
Okay, that is very important, right? You'll go sell it. But wait a minute, that's the same. What did I say?
You didn't say that, and that's the important part. You know.
Okay, so go.
That's where the money came to sell the oil, because see, Christians don't like to sell either. Oh, I don't like selling. I don't want to talk to people. I'm not a talker, right? You need to sell something. You got to debt. Is how it's God's plan for get people out of poverty. So I just you know,
this is God's plan to get people out of poverty. All right, well, I gotta
using debt properly to.
You definitely need to use it properly, right? And so in this case, her borrowing, that's some form of debt, but she went and paid off her creditors and lived off the rest. Her and her sons were able to live off the rest. And so, you know, looking for a retirement plan, you know, what's in your hands. And so we have a ton of gifts and talents, you know, maybe you're a great educator, you know, put together some courses, right? Sell the courses, right? You know, you have valuable information that somebody needs. You might be a baker, you know. Now, there's a difference between starting a restaurant and selling dinners out your house, because selling dinners out your house is going to take you a long time to get where you need to be, and it's exhausting. I sold dinners for a nonprofit one time, and I was like, at the end, I'm telling y'all, I was like, God, I only made like $400, and it was in there all day, all night. You know, the people mad because the stuff ain't coming on time. It's cold, you know. So, you know, definitely you want to be strategic in what you're doing, but you can start right at home. What's in your house? What gifts and talents and what abilities do you have that can make money, right? And it may include you borrowing. And so with that, I'm going to punt to Sierra so she can tell us, you know, credit not as a dependency, but credit as leverage, which is a part of what that story was about. Leveraging to get out of debt and to live. Amen.
Amen. So, well, Terry, thanks for having me here. And just to kind of piggyback off of what y'all said, I guess kind of where I start the process is I do everything credit. So whether it's personal or business, I'm the founder of Your Legacy Solutions, and I help you get from point A, whether it's I have bad credit, I need better credit so I can leverage my credit to do better, or I have great credit, I don't know how to leverage my credit, and to get you to be able to have the businesses or have the capital that you need to run your business. I just wanted to kind of touch tonight on a couple of different avenues of leveraging credit. Everybody knows that we have like the basic credit cards, right? But credit cards come in different forms of, and depending on what the end goal is, depends on the type of credit card that you're looking for. So if we're talking about just on the personal side, just to establish good personal credit, you have regular revolving credit cards. If you're looking at credit cards for points or cash back or for travel, you can leverage your credit card for any of those items. If you're looking on the business side for credit cards, you can leverage your business credit cards to help you with the basic day-to-day business needs. So having great credit will allow you to get the credit cards and have great interest rates and even 0%, and or higher credit limits, right? We also have what they have called charge cards, and sometimes we get those confused: credit cards and charge cards, right? Charge cards are the cards that you use for the month and you pay it off at the end of the month. So if you have a project and you know that you will be finished paying that project, you get paid at the end of the 30 days, you know that you could use a charge card, which most of the time have very high limits to fund your project, and then you pay that money back. On the business side, so charge cards, let me back up a little bit. So charge cards, what does that look like? I know everybody knows about American Express. American Express has the revolving credit cards and they have the charge cards. And the difference between the two is revolving credit cards, you can carry a balance from month to month. Charge cards, you have to pay out to end 30 days. Depending on what your end goal is, will depend on which type of card that you're looking for. Another avenue to have capital, so you can do things in your business, are lines of credit. And I'm talking from both sides of the fence of personal credit and of business credit. But lines of credit personally, can help you with fixing your home, help you with purchasing a car, help you with, hey, I want to, day-to-day activities. And on the business side, it could help float capital. It could, help float payroll. It could help you purchase items that are needed for the business. If you're into real estate, it can help you do fix or flips. It's going to give you the liquidity that you need on a daily basis instead of just having a credit card, because sometimes you can't always charge stuff. Sometimes you need actual cash to make things happen. And on the personal side, you can have like a personal loan, or you can have like a HELOC, which is a different type of loan, but you could take equity out of your home and leverage the money out of the home to get you maybe fix something in the house on the personal side. And or if you're bootstrapping your business, you could always leverage your personal credit to help do that also. So those are just a couple of different avenues of items that you can use to fund businesses and or fix your credit. Fund businesses, or just have good credit. I want to start off also by saying that we need to look at the starting point, and that is our personal credit. And before we even touch business credit or thinking about leveraging anything for business or for personal, we need to make sure our personal credit is up to par. So the reasons why we want to make sure our personal credit is up to par is because we want to get approved for items to help us leverage. We want to get good interest rates. There are 0% credit cards out here that you can leverage, not making large payments during, different projects. But in order to get those 0% interest rate cards, we definitely have to have great credit. And then also the credit limit. I tell my clients all the time, your credit score gets you in the door, but the meat and potato on your credit report is what actually gets you your interest rate and your credit limit. So having great credit will help you leverage to get the better rates and the credit limits that's needed to help you move from point A to point B. Let's
So
see.
how can you were talking about positioning ourselves to make extra money? How can cards or lines of credit actually do that?
Help you make extra money.
So in this case, we're talking about the ability to make 30K in 30 days. How can someone utilize, credit? And I'm going to qualify this. I want to say, and I'm going to answer someone's question via text, but all of this, you need to be strategic, right? Like it's not you just go in and you start, like, to have to tell some of my coaching clients who like, oh, I got a zero interest credit card. Yeah, but zero interest don't mean no payment, right?
Right.
You still have a payment that you're required to make. Even I think you may have mentioned using a HELOC loan. Yeah, you want to be able to use that if you have, the income producing asset to now address that gap in the monthly payment that you're now going to see, because when you pull that out, that shoots your payment up. How are you going to address that if you already didn't have the money to begin with? And so what we see people do, we help them strategically put it in something that can produce within a month, so then they can, be able to, strategically play with that, right? Like play with having the new asset, or the income generated from that, and this increased monthly payment from, being able to take out a HELOC loan. So if you can just speak to how can somebody generate 30K in 30 days utilizing credit and credit cards and business lines of credit, etc.
So to get 30K, of course, you need to have, good credit. So we want to make sure that, our credit reports are not having discrepancies on them as far as late payments or charge-offs or collections, right? So having a sound credit profile will definitely help you get those items as far as credit cards, charge cards, lines of credit, even like I said, doing the HELOC, or any type of financing. Um, you could take the credit cards and you could either use them for the day to day. You could leverage the credit cards for the day to day actions of your business. So that is a form of having the 30K. And or you can always take money off your credit cards if you have a game, like you said, Terry. You have to have a game plan. I don't suggest anybody taking money off their credit card as a cash advance and just willy nilly in it and thinking, hey, I think I can get this paid back. But if you definitely have a strategic plan in place, you could definitely liquidate your credit cards to help fund that 30K in the 30 days. If you want to have actual liquidity, that will be more of like a business line of credit or a business loan, or a personal loan, either way, depending on what we're looking at. And then, you take again, having a plan, you take that money and you can use that money towards whatever project that you're working on, whether it's a business or project in the home or whatever's going to bring you back that income to help you pay that stuff back off within the next 30 days. So using whether it's the credit card or the line of credit, pretty much the main focus is making sure you have a game plan, no matter what vehicle that you use, credit cards, 0% credit cards, charge cards, lines of credit, loans. As long as you have a game plan, making sure it's going to start off with making sure your credit is sound, your personal credit is sound, and then getting those items and using them appropriately. And then, like you said, Terry, investing in something that's going to help you pay those debts back in a timely fashion.
Yeah, and I just want to a quick note about lines of credit. I made the mistake. I got a line of credit. They gave me about $153,000, but because I was uneducated, I did not know that there was interest only. It was an interest only product. meaning that I was making payments, but it wasn't going nowhere. So I purchased 2 properties with it. And then I'm like sending in my payment and it wasn't going towards no principal. And the idea is, you know, you can get those lines of credit in that way. And then, you know, it gives you more, you know, you use it, you pay it off, and now you have a refreshed $150,000 to do something else with it. But that's if you pay it off, right?
Right.
If you don't know that, you know, it's not like a regular type of credit line where you're paying principal and interest and you're only paying interest, then that puppy ain't going nowhere.
Right.
And I ended up paying 3 years without paying that thing off because I didn't understand. But that is a great way to take a line and, you know, be able to use it to make more money. You know, take 153,000. You know how many businesses you can buy, businesses that are already profitable. We're going to talk about that. Businesses that are already built out, profitable, you know, that's the flex. And the reason why we encourage business setup and business structures, so then you can build your business in a way that it gets a valuation and be a part of your retirement plan. Amen. Amen. So one of the questions was one of the specifics that I did to overcome being a poor business owner. Couple things. I start every year with a plan. And so I'm in real estate. So I have a construction and project management business. I have a affiliate marketing business. I have a, what other business I have? I have a membership and subscription business. I have a coaching education business. I have a real estate investing coaching business and general contracting coaching business. I'm a licensed and insured general contractor. And, you know, so, but from the point that one instance that I can give is where I was being poor at was when it came to buying properties, because of what, you know, initially, you know, when I first learned about real estate and real estate investing, it was, you know, use the BRRRR method, do the BRRRR method. And for those who don't know what that is a process of buying, renovating, renting, rehabbing, and repeat. And the flex is that you can take the equity out of the property to then put it into another property, and you just have this, you know, reoccurring, just one pot of cash to keep buying properties. But here is what happened. The 2008 debacle happened, and I was like, okay, what do I do now? Right. And so after that, what I started doing is buying some properties free and clear. So based on how me and our household is and what was happening at the time, or things that we're trying to accomplish, you know, and this is why the financial plan is important, because it causes you to really sit through. And I gave you a start. If you want to think through these things through the 5 or 6 F's, and then quantify them, you know, assign a number to, okay, how much do I need in my family, you know, for my family events? I'm just making that up. Or how much do I need, you know, if I want to increase my fitness, you know, am I going to do 3 gyms? How much of that, what is that membership cost going to be? And then what I do is I get this one amount that totals for the entire year, and I back into it. So let's use what I started doing was use in the space of real estate is I started doing every 2 flips, 2 flips to 1 buy and hold every quarter. And so what that was allowing me to do was not get hit so much with capital gains, and then I can roll it into a rental property, a hold. But I wasn't. I moved from financing to actually buying it free and clear, because in real estate investing, you hear buy and hold. Usually, people just associate that with the BRRRR method. But you know, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but come to the challenge, and I'll get a little bit deeper. The way you can do a cost analysis is through this matrix called the API, and it's the annual property operating data, which tells you where how profitable your properties need to be and what needs to happen over time. And so I started looking at, and planning for, right? This is where the prioritization of liquidity comes in. I started planning for rate increases every year, and just, just the same way as there is a cost of living increase that happens, every year. I started planning around that. My vacancies, because another place I was getting hit was if tenants wasn't paying. Okay, tenants not paying don't mean the mortgage company is still not expecting their money. So while, you can work the tax code, because the IRS, the tax code is geared towards business owners and real estate investors. But you can work it in a way that, it allows you to deduct, vacancies. So what I started doing was thinking about my rent times 12 and storing away cash for that. So that if there was a vacancy, I'm good. Not bleeding backwards into another one of my businesses to be able to pay for that mortgage that's due, whether the tenant is there or not. Does that make sense? Dara, is that specific enough for you? Is that example specific, or you need me to drill down a little bit more? Okay. And so, I started going into each property almost like we from a personal standpoint, you should have an emergency savings of 6 months. I started doing it with each property because anything can happen. Anything can happen. There's always ebbs and flows in the market. So that was a way that I overcame becoming a poor business owner in my real estate business. And we have the challenge coming up next week. Curtis has a designated day to focus solely on financial planning and those build outs and some nuances and some gems. Everybody say to play, you got the plays, but he got some gems that he's going to give to the VIPers. We have the link in the chat. The general admissions is free, and I think the VIP section is $147 or something like that. But he has a designated day. Sierra has a designated day to give us some, cutting edge stuff around credit and banks that are giving money to fund income sources. So we talked about income streams, but if you build it like a business and wrap the structure around it, there's help for that. So then you get to keep more money because you're getting funded in a way that helps increase your income on a monthly basis. Amen. Amen. And then I have a designated day on that Wednesday to go over all things real estate and real estate investing. So if you want to tap in to the challenge, because that's more of the how-tos. Today was just geared towards stirring us up in a way to make it palatable and make us start thinking more about prioritizing financial freedom and independence and working towards that. We just came out of Labor Day, and we all know, the history behind it, but it says work, 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 work. No, we want to be able to labor to enter into rest so that we can have a good quality of life, and we're not using we have all our limbs to do it. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to let Curtis pop back in here, and Sierra, if she has any parting words as well. But I was able to retire. And here's the thing, and the reason why I emphasize mindset shifting. So I come from the hood. I think I mentioned that in my background. I lived in survival mode since the age of 12. And so it carried on into my life. And I guess this was the pivotal moment. It was, I think, like 2018, 2017. And I had started a paper route because when you have been poor, you don't ever want to be poor again. And you don't ever want to struggle again. And if you live in a family or in a family structure where you are everybody come to you, you just, I got to the place where I started prioritizing having streams of income. So I go and start this paper route. I'm working the paper route. At the time, I'm a detective. I would literally go to the warehouse like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I would throw my papers at night with my spouse looking at me like, why are you even doing that? And then I would go to my job and play cops and robbers, like literally. And one day I was like having all this pain in my neck. And I heard the Lord clearly say to me, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, because I didn't realize that the seasons had changed. I was no longer, I had assets, I had properties, I had income coming in, but my mindset hadn't shifted. So I stayed in survival mode unnecessarily and painfully. And so, when we're talking about this mindset shifting, and, I look at it as, what is your mindset on? We want to get your mindset on the thing that can liberate you just by, because you can, right? It used to be so out of reach for us, but there are tons of ways to generate income, to make sure to be in a position to generate 30K using cash, using investments, other businesses. You got credit, you got an insurance policy. Now, he'll talk a little bit more about that, but he already talked about is you creating your own banking system. And so once I realized like seasons had shifted for me because I had prioritized assets over debt. Another thing I did that was specific, Darlene, was I looked at the liabilities in my life and I attached an asset to pay that debt, that liability. So with every liability, I created an asset or some stream of income to be able to fund it. So then my regular savings or my life savings or my life activities could never be disturbed. And so that's another strategy that you can work. So you thinking about these streams of income, you're thinking about generating a 30K in 30 days. What is it going to answer? Or you'll have people, it also helped me to walk away from certain deals. Because if it didn't fit the number, case in point, if I needed to make 220,000 in a quarter, and I'm telling you, I'm only doing 2 flips and 1 buy and hold, the numbers needed to fit that. So I'm not going to go and get into a lot of deals that are 10 and 15,000. Because that's going to take me a long time. And with every deal you get in, you got closing costs. So you're bleeding that way, right? You have the upfront money that you have to put down, even if you get hard money, because they need to see skin in the game, right? And so that's money you're exerting. And depending on if you just got in it without counting the cost because you over rehabbed or you're not really respecting the renovation cost numbers, now, what you thought the numbers was going to be, they done crept up because you tried to skim to make the deal work, right? So these are all of the specific things that I did to get over that hump and never see it again. So with that, Curtis, you want to, and we're wrapping up, as I mentioned, this was really designed to help you get in the space. And you might be an investor, you might be a business owner, but I mentioned this on the opening. Sometimes we don't need to be informed as much as we need to be reminded. And if we're just in the hustle and bustle of life, that creativity, that being strategic, some of that gets lost because we're just trying to keep up. But not after today, not after next week. We're going to be ahead of the game and be on top of it so that we're not fighting behind the 8 ball, even as working class folks. Amen. A to the men. Okay, Curtis, I will leave the last words to Curtis and then Sierra, and then we will wrap for the night. Oh, please, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We want to be able to answer your questions. We have some free giveaways. Sierra and I have a personal credit and business credit membership, which helps get you and help you be strategic and leverage all the things that we're talking about so that you can get into investing. That's a monthly thing. But one of the things we teach in that space is creative financing. And so because you're here tonight with us, we're going to drop a link where you can get our guide to creative financing for free. Curtis, he has, nobody comes in this space without them having to agree to give up something. And so Curtis has a free document that he's going to share with you tonight, and we'll get that in the chat. But drop your questions, and while we're waiting for them to share their final words tonight, or add a little depth. Maybe you said something and you didn't get an opportunity to really complete the thought or the strategy or what have you. Here's the time to do that. Now is the time to do that. Okay. So Curtis, you look like you are frozen. That might be our system. Is Curtis frozen? I could see you, but that's all right. This is where us as believers start rebuking and denouncing, and but while we rebuke, denounce, and cast out, Sierra, you.
Yeah, that's fine. I do want to just touch on the chat real quick. I see Amy had made a comment that she's nervous and making more debt when she's trying to pay off debt, and that's a very valid concern. But it doesn't have to be. I just want to say that with a plan, you can work your way out of any situation. If you're getting out of debt, that's a good start. But if you know that you want to start a business, it's also a good start. So then, come into the class that we're getting ready to have next week, where we're starting to talk about putting plans into action. You need to be there. You need to have those type of conversations on how to. This is my current situation, but I want to be here. So what does that look like? And, we can talk through those type of situations in the next class. And, that's also what the mentorship is going to cover, is the accountability, the making sure we're here to support you from getting from point A to point B. So where you are is very normal. I just wanted to say that is very normal. And that's something that we could definitely help you work through to get to the end result or the end goal. So I just wanted to address that comment. I was there, been there, and I'm telling you now, that's something that we can definitely work through.
And see, why you say that, Amy, here's an example of what Sierra is talking about. So you may have debt, but it may be advantageous for you to get a credit card with a lower interest rate that you can consolidate that debt and now bring it down and free up, that money you have that's being paid out in all of these places. Now is in one place. The interest rate is lower. And next week, Sarah is going to tell everybody about those variety of cards and banks that, because they are out there, that will give you that, so that your debt can be transferred in a way, free you up. Now we're going to say invest in something, an income producing something, be it a business. And we gave you ways to start business or another business that is already booming, so that you don't have to do the heavy lift. You can just reap the rewards. I was telling Sierra, I got into franchising, and we've been talking about buying up businesses, and we were talking earlier, like I wasn't getting Chick-fil-A. I thought about it. I was going to buy Chick-fil-A. But them jokers told me I had to be there with the people dropping the chicken. Listen, and I ain't knocking it. My 6-month get out of debt plan, I'm not going to hit it a lot. It involved me working at McDonald's for 6 months. But that was a part of a larger plan. Another specific, Darlene, is I reduced my spending and I increased my income. That was another thing that I did. And that's the thing that we're promoting tonight, for you to get. One, you should have multiple streams of income, because one is too close to none. But two, if you're in a place of high debt, it could be, I wanted to pay my son's tuition totally out, right? That's a debt I wanted to pay. Now I have to be able to pay that. How was I going to pay that, right? And so it meant maybe in some other places I reduced my spending, but I increased my income. And so, there's things, we got subscriptions, right? Some of us sign up for these subscriptions because when people say, I don't have no money, yes, you do. You signed up for these subscriptions and they get you. They say, sign up, put the card in, it's a free trial. But then because life gets busy, we walk away from it. I'm sure if you do an inventory of your subscriptions, you'll be like, I I was paying $24.99. Them $24.99, $34.99, they add up, and that could be the difference. Say you got $500, right? And I'm just making this up. This is not a shameless plug because I don't believe in that. But one of my companies has a silent investor program where people can come in, invest their cash. They're silent investors, so you just wait for your money to come back. But we flip a house, and then you get your percentage back, all legal, all structured in that good old paperwork that we don't like. And then they get a return, right? Because your money's sitting in a savings account is where you get like 0.2 on a penny at the end of the year is not helping you to make money, right? But let's go back to that $500 that you may have after you get rid of all of them subscriptions that you ain't using anyway, and you invest in, let's say, a silent investor program. Now your money can make money versus you sending out money that you're not even really using anyway. You don't need all them subscriptions, but you can alleviate that and now invest to make more money and keep doing it over and over again. So that's another specific that we have to help poor business owners. Okay, Sing. I kind of took over because I just wanted to tell them about that credit card play.
Yeah, no, and that's good. But I hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, Amy, so you got a plan. I love it. So yeah, like I said, definitely please tap in with us next week. So we can talk through what your plan is and make sure it's going to get you the results that you're looking for. And then definitely look forward to maybe even joining the mentorship so we can definitely do the accountability and make sure we're following up with you to make sure you reach the end goal. One is having a plan, but two, you have to work it.
Hey, amen. Because that transferring around, Amy, we ain't just trying to move it around. We trying to get rid of it.
Right?
We want to get rid of it so that it frees us up to invest in something that can make us money. Right. So it's great to live another day, but the plan shouldn't be just to live another day. It got to be, how can I live for the remainder of my days? Amen. That was good, Holy Spirit. I want to live the rest of my days. And so that's the plan. And, we definitely want to help you be able to do that.
Yes. I also see Keith, he tapped in the chat box also. All right, so Keith, he's currently a business owner. However, he'd like to increase the scale of his business to operate it full time. That's a great goal. Again, plan. You have to come up with a plan to make that happen. You can definitely get there, but we'd have to take a look and see what type of business you have. What is it? What are you doing? Is it set up correctly? Do you have the capital to even make that happen? There's a lot that goes into just having a business, is making sure you have the proper plan. And between myself, Terry, and Curtis, over the next couple of days when we do our classes, I'm sure you'll get some type of clarity on what that plan should look like. And then we can also like keep on going back to that mentorship, jump in that mentorship so we can continuously foster the plan with you, because sometimes plans need to be adjusted and changed based off of what your circumstances are. And so we could continue to pour into you to make sure that you can, I guess, either leave that 9 to 5 and work your business full time, and or just scale your business if you're only doing, just your business at this time. And let me just step back and say this. there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5 till you get your business where it needs to be so that it's taking care of you. I just want to put that out there. Everybody's so quick, like, I'm gonna quit my 9 to 5. I get it. It's not the 9 to 5, as Terry has said multiple times, is not the way for generational wealth or to get or help you with your retirement. It is a vessel to get you from point A to point B. So it's okay if you have a full time and then you are building your business at the same time until you can just leave your full time. I think that's so important to remind people that that's normal and it's okay. Um, we
That's
definitely.
good. That's good. See, because and I just want to again, I want to give this is lived experience here, and in fact, somebody, Darlene is on the call. She can attest to this. My first retirement, I was like, I'm going out by faith, right? I was going out by faith, right? And and I went out by faith, and I was back at a 9 to 5 within a year, right? And again, this is where, while it's not designed to make us rich, while it's not designed to help us generate wealth, there are aspects of it that we need to leverage, that we can leverage, so case in point, being there for length of employment, right? You can leverage that to get into different business products or lines of credit or even traditional, non-traditional financing and funding. It looks good and they'll fund you because you look stable, right? And so maybe the flex is you will get it, but then you will invest it, and then you put more systems in place, because that's going to help you transition to the full-time. That's one of the things that can help you transition to full-time systems and personnel. So you
Matter
can
of fact,
keep.
let me give y'all the specifics. So when I hear business owners say, "Well, I need to get my business to where I go full time," what are you scaling? When I hear that, you have a cash flow problem, which tells me you have a marketing problem and a sales problem, right? So you don't have any lead generation. So, like, depending on the business, you have to learn how to do that. That is the number one. The 3 skills that move the needle in business are marketing, system, sales, and people. Investing in people. And so, what is the problem? I would on the mentorship call, we'll get more into that. But those are the things that you want to look at. Because people will say, "Oh, let's get more debt." Well, if your business is not generating money, I wouldn't recommend you get more debt because you can't pay it. Your business can't service the debt.
And to his point, and that's why we were emphasizing business setup, because even where your LLC is, that matters, right? There's a whole formula to this. But then let's be clear, there's no cookie cutter to this. You need to sit down and somebody to really see what's going on, right? What do
Mhm.
you have? What do you really have in your house? That you don't know you have, and that's Curtis. He'll help you find where the money is, so that you can put these systems and things in place, marketing, which is a part of a business setup. But let's be clear. Sometimes we just looked at the widow woman. Sometimes you have to put money out in order to get money back. And that may mean but it's for a short period of time. It's not a long-term strategy. It's for a short period of time. And a part of that planning is, okay, how, if this it's strategic and it's specific. Y'all know SMART goals, and it's attainable, right? And so remember I said I look at numbers first. I fix a number to something, then I back into it, and now that is the guide for all of the other investing or any other incomes or businesses that I might invest in or create. It's all based on, okay, this is how much I need to make a month. This is how much debt I have. This is, these are my expenses. This is the income. So it is a part of a larger plan. And as Curtis said, we have him starting on Monday next week, because everything for me is derived from that. I don't know who was talking, because I think Curtis jumped in, but Keith, I hope that answers you. And you, I don't know if you already have a financial advisor. Well, not all of them are created equal, because the way we do everything is more of a holistic plan, and a holistic approach, which is why we factor in even down to some other things that other people may not factor in. But you just tap in. I think, we have some blueprints that will be given out next week, some how to do it yourself or how to have it done for you, type of thing. And that's a specific case. And I think what I was trying to say, and then I'm gonna stop here, is that none of this is cookie cutter, because none of you, everybody comes, they have different personal situations, different business aspirations, different personal goals, different amount of children, live in different places, desire to live in different places. I vacation in the Maldives and people be like, talk to me at Rehoboth Beach. And I have to remember that. I have to remember that, people are at different levels. But just notice your today is not your tomorrow. Seasons are subject to change. And there's always an option. There's always an opportunity. And there's always an out. Okay. And that's all I have to say about that.
I'm just gonna finish up with, guys, I see y'all are here, y'all are tapped in. We definitely have the expertise and the knowledge to help you get from point A to point B. Definitely tap in with us next week and let's continue this narrative and these conversations. That's the work that needs to be done to get you to where you want to be. So I'm gonna end off on, I hope to see y'all next week. We have 3 great days of action, packed days to help you create these plans that you need and give you the knowledge that you need. Y'all have the desire, so let's go ahead and fulfill what you came to do.
And with that, she's going to, Sierra, if you can put, if the team can put the link in the chat for the challenge next week. You can give them the link for the creative financing, because in that it's designed for real estate investors or business owners, because I told you that tax code is designed for business owners and real estate investors. But it's also applicable to any life situations. Right, you can look at how to finesse it, and if you need help, we're here. You can let us know. But she's gonna put those 2 links in the chat. Curtis, you have some final words or something you want to say that you did not get an opportunity to complete earlier, or?
No, one last short thing is just take action. This is not for entertainment, right? So you have to lean in, and you have to, if you have a definite aim you're trying to achieve, then you've got to move towards that. And Terry's throwing out a lifeline to kind of give you access to information to help you move forward. So we're here, with the business owner. I've been basically a 3rd generation business owner, so I've never really. I always viewed a job, Sierra, as a temporary inconvenience. Right. So in my mind, I was full time at my thing. I just wasn't good enough at it yet, and so the job was to finance my apprenticeship until I got my thing going. Right. So that's how you view it, is financing your apprenticeship because what Jim Rohn says. I think I'll end with this: wages make you a living, profits make you a fortune. So you got to earn your living by day, and you got to work on your profits on your lunch break, at night, on weekends, until your enterprise surpasses your job, right? Yes. Or equals or surpass your job. So you'll know when to go full time. You got 3 to 6 months in the bank. You've got referrals coming out of your ears. You got lead generation. Don't force it.
Don't force it. And as if you want to retire on your own terms, you can. And here is again that quantifying it and then making sure your activity is driven towards that. So how did I retire? I looked at, they say you should have 2 to 3 times your annual income, that still wasn't enough for me. I had to do 10 times my annual income. And I'm so glad I did, because this last year was a doozy. Just things happening in business. I didn't generate income for about 8 months, right? What most people would, that's not good for them. They would be one and done. But because of the way I do prioritize liquidity, and I emphasize prioritizing liquidity, and miss a beat. I was still vacationing, and my family was still vacationing, and we were still doing all of the things that we wanted to do. And so people get mad at me when I say the people of God don't participate in recession or inflation. I thank God I didn't have to be like, oh, I only can fill up my gas tank this far, right? But it is when you can. So when we're talking about taking this action, and the faith without works is dead, get ready when you can get ready, so you can show up if anything happens, right? You're not trying to figure it out. If you're some person, I know a lot of investors right now who got hit hard with the Feds increasing the interest rates every 3 months. Well, it seemed like it was every 3 days. And so what was happening was people have a bunch of mortgages that they can't get out of. I feel like I said this already, or maybe I was having this conversation with Curtis earlier. And so we know a ton of real estate investors who are stuck with properties. So think about this. You have an asset that's designed to increase your net worth, right? Which there's a whole thing connected to that, and getting more money and all of the things, which we'll talk about next week. But here you have an asset, and it's almost like it's a burden, because on top of it, and depending on which state you're in, or which jurisdiction you in, which locality you in, like Philadelphia, they are a tenant town. Philly is what I call them, because the tenants and the squatters have more rights than the people who are providing the housing that's helping them address housing insecurity. Don't let me go on my soapbox. Now, we helping you address housing insecurity, but you're going to penalize us when these jokers don't pay, right? But back to the analogy, or to the story, so they have these mortgages, and you're dealing with a system that don't allow you to easily get rid of tenants. And they had nerve to add this diversion program. Like, what the heck, kind of thing. They don't want to be diverted. They just want to live for free, ma'am, or sir. But anyway, so then now, you're paying in more than you're generating in. You're paying out, more than your expenses is higher than your income, and you have an asset. That's incongruent with what we believe. So we want to plan for that. I don't know how I got over there. I'm gonna come back, but I just love this space. I love helping us grow in the space and grow financially, and move away from just, not being able to give more liberally, not being able to advance the kingdom of God. So we don't give our tithes and offering, or, we're not able to really contribute to charitable organizations. We want to, our hearts are there, but we're not positioned. And then, just in our families, we're not able to spend more time with them. We can't, meet basic needs, and it's like, after all these years, you work so hard. At what point do the working so hard stops? It stops when we stop it. And so this is what we want to, normalize and prioritize. All right, Curtis, you have the last word, sir. If there's no questions, are there any questions? And Curtis, put in the chat your Be the Bank blueprint for the people, please, sir. Thank you. Nope. Or I can put it in it. Send it to me, and I'll do it.
I'm in the chat now. I think I'm in the chat.
Oh, you're in the chat? Okay.
Yeah. So it's Be the Bank. So text Be the Bank, all one word, BETHE, the BANK, to 55444.
What you ain't gonna do is confuse the people, sir.
Right. So the short code is 55444, and the message is Be the Bank. and you should get a report. We're going to send you our report called The Value of Liquidity.
The value of liquidity. Okay. Anything else you want to share? How can the people, if they don't have a financial plan, although if they come next week, they can get it. Let me just talk a little bit about next week. So the VIP is from 6 to 7, and the general admissions is from 7 to 8. The general admissions is free. It's a free challenge. The VIP is $147. I think we're discounting it for those who are here tonight to $97. And there in the VIP, you will be able to get some of the cutting edge stuff, or the stuff that if you're not in these individual spaces that they're in, you would not be privy to, as well as access to them directly, or to myself to ask specific questions. In the general admissions, that won't happen. You'll get some how-tos, because next week is all about giving you the specific steps to achieve certain things. So I'm going to go over today. We went over the income opportunities that you can implement in your own life to have those 7 streams of income. But next week, we're going to talk about, okay, do this, do that, do that, do this, to actually score them in case you need that help. And, each of us will be doing that on our individual nights. So that's it. Any other questions? Curtis, go ahead, sir.
No, that's it. I would say we'll see you next week, and you'll learn the why to and more of the how to every night, where you can implement or get a coach to help you implement. Most of the stuff, you need a coach, right? You don't want to DIY it, because business is a team sport, and there's
That's good.
There's no one person, because you come at this from different aspects of it. So you need somebody. You're going to do holistic. Nobody knows everything, even me. No, just kidding.
This guy.
Surprisingly so. No, but so no, but you gotta have fun while you do this. But I think you.
That's right.
And that's the only way to. Again, if you don't learn more, you can't earn more. So I'll end with that.
Oh, okay. Listen, we'll stay here for a few more minutes. Are there any other questions that was a burning question for you, or you came on and you thought you would hear that you did not hear? Put that in the chat. We'll wait on you. Again, we want to provoke you to act or to change. Your mindset around just sitting in the status quo. It's easy to kind of be sitting and like, okay, this is my plot, right? And then you get accustomed, and you get comfortable with just going, tapping the clock, getting a check, coming back home, giving your check to your wife or to your husband, or not, if you're married, not married, and then doing it all again the next weekend, dreading the Monday. Listen, that's why I was out. I dreaded the Monday. I dreaded the Monday. But are there any questions? Any questions? All right. Well, if not, we will follow up and give you the information for next week. Or if you, you may have access to us individually. We've provided our contact information so that you can reach for us. And if not, we've sent you the links to various things. We look forward to growing and building like the Jews and the Rockefellers do. That's what I'm talking about. They got their own world of banking that keeps giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. That's what we want to be able to do, leaving a legacy that cannot be erased. All right. God bless you all for now. If you don't have anything else, we will see you soon.
Yes. See y'all next week.
All right. Good night.
All right.
Curtis, you said good night to the good people.
Good night. Good people.
He's on one of my videos talking about good night to the good people. And then he has this crazy laugh.
Yep. But it's not happening now because I'm tired. So good night.
Oh, is that what's happening? That's why you ain't had nothing else to say.
Nope.
Got it.
So, but I hope this is helpful. Good night, Amy. And I will talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Sarah, you hanging around?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Oh, wait, this thing will shut down. Let's see.
You want to go out and come back in?
Yeah, because the way this thing is set up.
All right, let's do that.
Wait, there's two other people here. They still here. Let's see who. I don't
It's
know
on the
how to
same
see
link.
who the other. Oh, wait, child, the thing went live in YouTube.
Can we stop this from recording?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me stop it.
Stop this from recording.